Hello, everybody, and welcome to Women in Business Wednesdays. This week, we have the special pleasure of having Leila from Leila Brene Studios. Welcome, Leila.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. You are one of my, well, probably like at this point, my favorite hairstylists. So,
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
so Leila does luxury. Well, you can tell everybody what you do because it's a little bit different than just probably going to the regular hairstylist,
Mhm.
right? So,
Yes.
what's different about the services that you offer versus just going and getting a silk press or a weave? What's the difference between the services that you offer?
I specialize in luxury hair extensions, which consists of microlinks, eye tips, tape-ins. I still do a traditional sew-in, but my main focus are those luxury hair extension services. And so with those services, typically your hair is going to be left out in between versus a traditional sew-in where all of your hair is covered up. So I
Mm-hmm.
specialize in those services and I love them because they're very seamless. They lay very flat. You can put your hair up in a ponytail without any bulking, without any showing. um, so yeah, that's mainly what I focus on. I still do some of those other services. So silk presses, color. I do still specialize in color. But with me, I typically don't have my clients coming in for just those services. It's typically going to be someone who already has luxury hair extensions in that I installed and I'm maintaining their hair for them. Um, Color services is typically going to be somebody who is getting extensions by me or have already had their extensions done by me. And so I'm kind of just maintaining them. So right now, that's what I do. I really just take clients who are getting luxury hair extension services.
Okay. And so I know you mentioned you said this, but like for people who may not be familiar, right?
Mhm.
Um what what makes it luxury versus regular?
I
But I
think
guess
when it's
not luxury.
It's a good question. It's a very good question. I think luxury hair extensions, the term luxury hair extensions kind of came around because these extensions aren't just your typical $200 hair extensions that you may have gotten back in the day. With these extensions, they're more intricate. They take a little bit more time, and sometimes they don't take more time, but they're higher end in cost than a traditional sew-in may have been 5, 10 years ago. So that's one thing that makes them luxury. The second thing is the fact that your hair is out in between. So you have to take a little bit more care of your extensions. This isn't something where you can just go days without brushing your hair and without doing anything. Like, you want to take care of it. You might want to come into the salon and have us take care of your hair. So a lot of women will do this because they don't want their hair just completely covered up. They want to be able to wear their hair out, but also have the length and fullness added by these luxury extensions. So I would say that's typically why, because the ticket is a little bit higher than some that you may have gotten in the past.
Right. And then the fact that it looks so much more natural,
And
right?
we're
Like
using, of course, 100% human hair, um, virgin, raw. And I make sure that sometimes I customize the color myself, or I order hair with the color already done. So that way it matches perfectly with your hair. And then I'm also going in and coloring your hair to match with these extensions. So it's a very intricate process of me coloring the extensions, coloring your hair. So that way it all blends together and it's seamless.
okay, and now, so I know I told you the thing that attracted me to you was the fact that you do all nationalities hair. So it's not like your client base is just black or white. Like I've seen on your Instagram page, you have white women getting their hair done, black women getting their hair done. I think I saw another lady. I don't. She was mixed with. She was something other than black or white.
Yeah.
So I think that's different, especially from what I've seen as far as hair for our traditional hairstylists, hairdressers. They have one type of clientele that they serve. So how did you end up branching out and being able to do all different kind of hair textures, all different kind of nationality
Yeah.
nationalities hair? I don't know if that sounded right.
I know what you mean. Great question as well. It's a long story, but I'll make it short. I was 18 when I got licensed. And I was lucky, blessed enough to have a woman take me under her wing. And she mentored me for 3.5 years and taught me so much. She is the one that opened my eyes to extensions and the possibility with extensions, not just one version here, one type there. She's the one that exposed me to it all. And she gave me the courage to step out and start doing hair textures that were different than mine and different than what we're used to. She said, she taught me that hair is it's texture. It's just varying degrees of curly to straight. Don't look at it from a race standpoint. Look at it from texture. So you have fine textures, you have coarse textures, you have medium textures, you have curly, you have straight in every single race. So it's not Black people that have curly hair, white people have curly hair too. You just got to understand how to deal with this particular fabric over this particular fabric of curl pattern.
Gotcha.
So when she taught me that it just clicked in my head. I was like, oh. So when I started having, when I left her, I went out and to Towson, and I was able to have the courage to work in a predominantly white salon. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to force myself into a culture that I didn't grow up in so that I could really learn white hair. You know what I mean? And when I say white hair, I mean straighter textures that are not as coarse as mine, that aren't kinky. So I could understand, like, okay, how do I do a blowout? How do I do this? How do I get better with my color? How do I get even better with my haircuts? Because typically on this side, people with straighter hair, they're going to get haircuts a lot more often than typically what African American women want to do with their hair. Culturally, we don't get a haircut, even though we're supposed to. So anyway, when I branched off and forced myself into that culture, it changed everything. Like it really helped me perfect my skills and actually made me better in African American textured hair. I was able to see the similarities and see, like, okay, this is how I can do this. This is how I handle the fine African American hair, like that's very thin and that doesn't have as much volume. So, that's how I did. I really attribute a lot of that to the woman who decided to take time out of her life to mentor me so that I could have that courage to do that.
And so that's a great question. So would you say, like, if someone, and for a new hairstylist, like somebody just breaking out into doing hair, like, do you recommend they go and they find a mentor?
I do. Yes. I think it's very important when you're just starting out that you have someone who you can ask questions to, who will hold you accountable. That, when you're making a mistake, somebody will say, no, that's not the way you do it this way. Because we make mistakes and that's how you learn. If you don't make any mistakes, you never learn. So mistakes aren't bad. You want to make those mistakes, but you want somebody there next to you to guide you through the mistakes so you don't keep making it over and over and over again. So new stylists straight out of hair school, even if you're not straight out, you might have been doing hair for a while, but you just never had a mentor. Find a mentor. And that's, yes, easier said than done. But
I was going to ask you, how does somebody find a mentor? That was going to be my next question.
I know. In this day and age, I feel like I've had people reach out to me on Instagram and ask me questions. There's a lot of hairstylists out there who will offer mentoring services at a price. You got to pay them for their time, which is understandable. In my case, the woman who mentored me, she found me in hair school. So she would we had competitions and she would come to the competitions and she saw what I was doing on my mannequin heads and she offered me the job. And then I was, once I decided to go work for her, I was open to hearing what she had to say, open to learning. I took constructive criticism well.
That's good. That's a good point.
Yeah, I was able to learn. So I would say if you didn't have somebody who found you in hair school, I would kind of reach out to stylists that you admired on Instagram. See if you can become an assistant of theirs. And once you're an assistant, you'll be shampooing under them, you'll be cleaning after them, but at the same time, you're watching what they're doing. You're asking them questions. They're teaching you while you're assisting them until you get to that point where, okay, I'm confident enough where I can start taking clients of my own and, still work with this person.
And I think it's a valuable lesson just from the standpoint of being an entrepreneur. One of the things that people don't understand, Leila, is you have to follow before you can lead, right? So, people just want to come out and they want to be that person, right? But you have to follow someone who probably knows more than you, who can give you feedback, hold you accountable, because being an entrepreneur is very different than having a job. Now, have you ever had a job?
I'd say when I was assisting, that was a job because I was paid hourly.
Okay.
But no, I've always done hair. I've
Okay.
never
Okay.
had a job outside of the hair industry. So if that's what you mean.
Okay, so I guess for you being an entrepreneur, because a lot of times it's very scary to like jump into entrepreneur world. Like, what made you decide to, from the beginning, right, decide to be an entrepreneur versus going into the workforce, like and being an employee?
Mm-hmm. So I've always known that I wanted to do hair. Well, I'd say I probably knew once in 8th grade. I went to a vocational high school, where my brother went, and we went there for an open house, and I saw their cosmetology program, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was a career. This is what I want to do. And
Wow.
Thankfully, I was accepted because you have to get interviewed, and they only took 18 students a year in that program. So thank God I got accepted. And after that, once again, when that woman took me under her wing and was teaching me everything, it was still a job. I would still say it was workforce, but I understand what you mean, because doing hair, you're reliant on clients.
Yeah.
A living.
Right.
It's not just you're working the job and they pay you a salary and then you're done.
Right.
So I think because I always wanted to do hair and I had that spark in me, I just never thought to do anything else. I did go to school for 2 years. I went to community college for 2 years for psychology because I thought I wanted to be a psychologist. But I learned that it's really just for this. Like, I'm a psychologist behind the chair as well. But I really love working with people. I'm definitely a people person. I love talking with women and hearing their stories and meeting them. So I just never wanted to do anything else. Now. Yeah. There is a difference between being a commission hairstylist, because that's what I was for most of my career, and what I do now. So now, now I am in a studio at Solar Salon Suites, and I am completely on my own. So I am truly self-employed now, which is similar to women or stylists who are booth rent, right? So you take care of all of your expenses. You buy your own color, you buy your own product, you pay rent, you do all of those things. Whereas a commission employee, the owner pays for the color, they pay for the products. You don't have to pay rent. They just take a percentage out of everything that you bring in. So you're an employee. So it's not as much stress. There's not as much you have to think about. And there's nothing wrong with the commission stylist. I just decided that I wanted to branch off and start my own business.
And that's a real live business, because you have business expenses, you have inventory, like that's a real business. And not saying that someone who is getting commission is not a real business, but when you're responsible for you're accountable for you, all that kind of stuff. And now, and I guess it probably depends on where you are in your career, like which one is better. But I would assume that you working on your own at this point, because you've been in doing hair for 15 years, right? So at this point, working on your own, you're probably making way more money than you would if you were a commission stylist. Is that correct?
I'd say yes, you have the potential as a self-employed stylist to make more money, but that's if you know how to run your business right.
Okay.
You have your clients coming in, but at the same time, you have to pay taxes. There's self-employment tax. You have to be registered as a business, whether you choose to be an LLC or an S corporation, and there's taxes that go along with that. The rent, depending on where you are, can be a lot. Depending on the color that you choose to use, can be very expensive. The products, restocking, anything breaking, your chair breaking, you are responsible for fixing that.
Right.
You got to decorate your space. So that costs money to decorate your space. So it's that, I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world, but it's not, I would hate to say to a stylist who might be thinking about it, like, oh girl, yeah, you can make a whole bunch of money, because if you don't understand business, then you might lose money. It might be better for you to stay a commission stylist, and that just might be better for you. I know a lot of commission stylists who are making a lot of money, who are doing very well for themselves. It's still, it's still like running their own business, but they don't have to think about the rent and the day-to-day expenses and making sure that they're doing the inventory and restocking and cleaning their space every day and hiring an assistant and all of these things. They don't necessarily have to worry about all those little details like I do. They love it. They're fine being a commission stylist.
So it just really depends on what works best for you, right?
Yeah,
basically,
exactly.
Right? So we're gonna wrap up here. If someone wants to get in touch with you, and I would, listen, ladies, Leila did a great job of my hair. If you go to Instagram, you will see how my hair looked when it was done. I was looking at it earlier. It looked completely like my hair. My before and after is like an extreme makeover. Like it's so different. But if someone wanted to, find out, come to you. I know number one thing you do is a consultation, right?
Yeah.
To make sure that you're choosing you're choosing and your client is choosing what makes the most sense for them and their hair and their hair texture, right? So if someone wanted to get in touch with you and set up an appointment or come to your salon, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I would say go to my Instagram at Hair by Leila Briana. And then the link tree in my bio, you click that and it'll say schedule your appointment here. You click that and you would just schedule a consultation with me. And in that consultation, exactly what Kali said, we're going to discuss your needs, your desires, what hair extension technique is best for you. We're going to go over the budget and all of those things. We'll match your hair color, we'll match your texture to blend with the extensions. And it'll take you, if you don't want to go to Instagram or if you don't have an Instagram, you can go to, what is my website? it's going to be down below, but www.glossgenius, www.leilabrianastudios.glossgenius.com. It'll be below.
It'll be below. So go below and you can get the link.
Also, I am launching a hair extension line of my own.
Oh,
this is my line that I'm wearing right now. These are clip-ins.
Okay.
So, that website is www.rozluxuryhair.com. And you go to @rozluxuryhair on Instagram, and it's RAZ Luxury Hair. And right now we're starting out selling clip-in extensions that look like this. Kind of look like that.
Okay.
That different textures, and we have way more to come. But so go to @rozluxuryhair.com and put your email in so that you can get notified when we launch. And then also go to the Instagram @rozluxuryhair and follow us so that you can get all the updates that is coming and tutorials and all of the stuff. So just follow me on all the things.
Absolutely. So real quick, right? What's the difference between your extensions and just going to Sally's, I guess?
Yep. So great question. So this hair is raw. So what that means is a woman who is donating her hair. They put it in a ponytail. They cut off that ponytail. And it is that ponytail. They don't allow the hair to fall to the floor like sometimes they do. They just shave the head, hair falls on the floor, and then you just pick it up. So with this hair, all of the hair is going in the same direction. So the cuticle of the hair is all flowing in the same direction, which prevents tangling. If they cut that person's hair and let it fall to the floor and they gather it up, the cuticles will be in different directions, and that's what causes tangling. That's what bad quality hair really is.
So is that what they do for some like hair extensions? Is like they cut it and then they just gather it up?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh shoot, that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah. So that's why we make sure it's raw hair, which means it hasn't been processed. There's no coloring that's been done to it. It went under a gentle steaming process to create the curl pattern here, but no other chemical processing has been done to it. And it's full cuticle, which is exactly what we discussed. So all the cuticles are laying in the exact same direction, and there's not going to be any tangling. And if it is, it's not bad tangling. It's just because it's curly hair.
Okay, got you. That's what I need.
So right now we're starting out with clip-in extensions, but we have so much more to come for you all, colors and so many things. So follow us.
Well,
on
your
Instagram.
hair looks really pretty, so that's exciting.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So do you have any the last question I always ask is, if you were talking to someone who was new, just getting out of hair school, what would be the best piece of advice that you would give them?
I was talking to somebody just getting out of hair school. I would say be open for constructive criticism. Don't take it as someone coming down on you, because there's always something you can learn. You can learn from everybody. Even if it's something like, oh, I already know that. Don't count it out as like, oh no, I already know that. I already know that. Like,
or something that you shouldn't do, maybe.
Yeah, it could be exactly something you shouldn't do, something that that you might not have realized. It was like, oh, okay, I can add that tiny little tidbit here. So just be open to constructive criticism. Don't think that you know everything. Humble yourself. So that's one. The next thing is get a mentor. Work under somebody who can train you. And have fun. Don't get so uptight with everything that you're like, you can't allow yourself to branch out. Like, hair is an art form. We're artists. Hair is our canvas. So be creative. Don't let anybody stifle your creativity, saying that it's only one way to do something. Be open and just let your creativity flow. Practice, practice, practice. Grab those mannequin heads and practice as much as you can.
There we go. So that was 4 pieces of advice.
Sorry. They have so much advice.
But hey, listen, if you want to get in touch with Leila, all of her links will be below. And again, she's a great hairstylist. She's fun to be around. We always have a good time when I go to the salon. So, and you will get exactly what you pay for when you go to her. I can speak that for myself, because I've been talking you up, girl. Like, I'm like, you look good. That's where you need to go. So that is it for our Women in Business Wednesdays. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much, Leila, for your time, taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with the ladies and talk with me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kylie, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, beautiful. Have a good one, okay?
Thank you. You too.